want the people who have become a bit jaded with the standard repertoire and want to hear something new. And then on the other hand, I want people who are really new to classical music and they're open to something fresh and that isn't going to be all dusty and moldy with old dead white guys performing. The main thing that attracts the musicians certainly is the repertoire we do.
It's different. It's not, you know, the kind of same old you play everywhere else. And I can't say honestly that I enjoy all of it, but it's at least interesting to play, and it's always a challenge.
But a lot of modern composers I've never heard of, I get a chance to be not only just dead composers, but the ones that are still alive.
The demands are greater because of that, but it makes it more challenging and more fun.
This is one of the few groups around who really spends their time.
Because I said to myself, geez, when I turn 50 or 60, how many Beethoven 5s do I want under my belt, you know?
And if you're a musician and you want to continue developing yourself, it really gave you an opportunity to do that.
If you are an amateur musician, where else are you going to get to do all the Mahler symphonies or The Rite of Spring or John Adams and Corigliano and Doherty? We've even done world premieres of orchestral works by Danny Elfman and Elvis Costello.
Initially, the orchestra was a continuation of what Eric had done over his final 2 summers at Stanford to provide a creative outlet for symphonic musicians who were unhappy with the traditional community orchestra repertory. We wanted to give people an opportunity to grow musically and to learn as they were playing. And there turned out to be this large untapped reservoir of adventurous musicians out there.
I think historically Redwood Symphony was by and for the members of the orchestra. As time has gone by, it's broadened out where it's gone well beyond the people in the orchestra, and we're now developing patrons who come because they just love the music. They are coming to hear interesting playing, they hear high quality music, and it's close by. If you're on the peninsula, it's easy to come to.
I think that we really appeal to the most adventurous kind of listener, the kind of person who wants to see what else is out there. Don't get me wrong, we do Beethoven, we do Brahms, we do Tchaikovsky, we do all those guys, but I just think it's in the proper proportion. We also do an opera every other year, and besides things like Don Giovanni, La Bohème, Carmen, perhaps the biggest undertaking was an uncut version of Porgy and Bess.
Redwood is a great place to come because we've really blurred that line between the audience and the performers. We dress a lot more casually on stage. It's not stuffy.
We use humor in our performance. I talk to the audience a lot, so there's this air of informality of bring your kids, bring your family and see an orchestra.
As you know, if you studied any of the demographics for symphonies, they're mainly the over 50 crowd, or over 60 crowd. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to extend our reach into a younger audience.
We have an admission policy where children under 18 come in for free so they can come experiment. They can come if it's not something they like to do. The parents don't feel that they've made a huge investment of time and resources to come to it. We have a night where the audience gets to meet the orchestra. It's particularly aimed at kids to actually meet the musicians. And they can sit down in a room, hear demonstrations of their instruments, they can touch the instruments, they can really get their eyes and arms around the music and around the musicians and the instruments, as well as just sitting in the theater and listening to the grand performance.
Our holiday concert featured the kids who come up and conduct on stage. And the entire audience was so into that. The room was just a buzz. That is, for me, the definition of success.
Eric's a great conductor to play under. Really, of all the conductors I've played under, he's probably got the cleanest, clearest technique.
1, 2. For me, a conductor needs to be very clear, but he should also be very expressive. And for a lot of conductors, those are mutually exclusive. The more expressive you get, the more difficult it might be to follow. So I'm always trying to keep those two poles in balance. That's how I was taught.
Eric is quite demanding, and he will tell us, if something needs to be played differently.
1 and 2 and. Okay, so on the second one, you're coming to the 16th a little early, so wait longer, right? 1 and 2 and. Good. I am very demanding, but I can't be so demanding as I'm going to drive my players away. They're there because they want to be, they're not getting paid, and I have to keep it fun for them.
Some more conductors get upset, they get mad, they get this. He is so friendly, he jokes with everybody, but you learn something from it every time.
Our tradition is the Ivesian tone cluster method of playing. There is a canon going on, believe it or not, with the English horn and the first violins. And we want to be able to hear that. So mezzo forte, lower strings, maybe even only mezzo piano here. Okay. Bells up. Can we do English horn bell up? That would be really weird, wouldn't it? Okay, it's got to be more instantaneous. Try it again. 2 and 3 and. Yeah, and then big crescendo, right? Okay. It's been joked that we are an orchestra with no principals. The wind, brass, and percussion players are all considered co-principals, because that way you avoid the situation that a lot of community orchestras have, where you've got a really good principal player and then secondary players that are not very good because they know they're never going to get a solo.
And it takes away that competitive edge where they'd say, oh, did you hear how he played that note? It was so flat. They don't carpet each other. They actually support each other. And it's got this completely different feeling.
One of the things that attracts me to Redwood Symphony is the esprit de corps that we have. And I think that's because the musicians are just so happy to see each other.
I went on the website and I saw they were looking for strings and especially basses. So I emailed Eric and I was welcome right away.
I find that most of my friends are here in the symphony and I enjoy being with them. It's a group that enjoys making music together.
Happy birthday for Catherine. Let's play. Ready? 1, go!
In 1990, a new cellist joined the orchestra, and at a distance of 50 feet, I was immediately smitten. A year or two later, she agreed to marry me.
When my wife Delphine and I got engaged, we were figuring out who was going to be our officiant, and we thought no more natural choice than Eric. So we asked Eric to do it, and he was kind of dumbfounded initially. So we sent him the URL, universallifechurch.org, and he registered in 5 minutes, and there he was, our officiant. And we hired members of the orchestra to play for our wedding, and it was fantastic. And
one of the great things I love about this orchestra is we'll often start a set with a modern piece, and a lot of musicians will come up to me and they'll say, Eric, I'm not sure about that Ludoslavsky piece or that Krigliano. It's dissonant, it's very unpleasant, I really don't like it. And very often what happens is by the time the concert comes or after the concert, those same people will come up to me and says, my God, I love that piece, Eric. That is just the greatest thing I ever heard.
Because I probably wouldn't have listened to too many of the contemporary pieces, but getting to know them through Redwood Symphony has made it much more fun and interesting.
Particularly with extremely avant-garde music, 21st century music. The idea that you really have to listen to it multiple times and really approach it with an open mind and give it a chance to grow on you. So I would say for me, a lot of the very modern pieces we do, about 2/3 of them end up growing on me a lot.
I think we need to tread new ground, and I think we need to explore and we need to represent the composers of our era who are going to be the master composers in 100 years or 50 years or 25 years, you know?